Hi everyone, we are now in Mythology and Folklore class. My name is Brian James Mayoyo, and I will tell you the story of Perseus. The story of Perseus is a story on the level of fairy story, where Hermes and Athena act like a fairy godmother in Cinderella. The magical wallet and cap belong to the properties of fairy tales abounding everywhere. Perseus is the only myth in which magic plays a decisive part, and it seems to have been a great favorite in Greece. Before anything else, I would like to introduce to you the characters. Our first one is Perseus. Perseus, he is the slayer of the Gorgon Medusa and rescuer of Andromeda from the sea monsters. Perseus was son of Zeus and Danae. The next one is Zeus. Zeus is the god of sky in Greek mythology. As the chief Greek deity, Zeus is considered the ruler, protector, and father of all gods and human. The next one is Danae. Danae was a princess of Argos, the only child of King Acrisius, mother of Perseus. The next one is King Acrisius, was a king of Argos. He was the grandfather of the famous Greek demigod Perseus. The next one is the priestess. The priestess was one who gives a prophecy. The next one is Dictys. Dictys was a fisherman and brother of Polydictys. The next one is Polydictys. Polydictys was a king of Seriphos, famous for being the king who would command the hero Perseus to obtain the head of Medusa. The next one is Hermes. Hermes is the winged herald and the messenger of the Olympian gods. The next one is Athena. Athena is the Olympian goddess of wisdom and war, and the adored patroness of the city of Athens. The next one are the Gorgons. The Gorgons were three monstrous sisters in Greek mythology. The most famous of the Gorgons was Medusa. The next one is the Grey. The Grey were three sisters in Greek mythology who shared one eye among them. The next one is the Nymphs. The nymphs in Greek mythology were usually associated with fertile, growing things such as trees or with water. The next one is Andromeda. In Greek mythology, a beautiful daughter of King Cepheus and Queen Cassiopeia. The next one is Queen Cassiopeia, mother of Andromeda, wife of King Cepheus. The last one is King Cepheus, was a legendary king of Ethiopia, husband of Queen Cassiopeia. Later you will all meet them and know what they did in the story. Let us now hear the story of Perseus, one of the great heroes before Trojan War. King Acrisius of Argos had only one child, a daughter named Danae. But this was a small comfort to the king for not having a son. He journeyed to Delphi to ask the god if he would be a father of a boy. The priestess told him no, and added that his daughter would have a son who would kill him. To escape that fate, the king wants Danae instantly put to death. But this Acrisius would not do, because of fear of gods. Instead, he had a house built with bronze, and sunk underground. But with the roof open to the sky, a mysterious thing happened. A shower of gold fell from the sky and filled her chamber. How it was revealed to her that this was Zeus, who visited her in this shape. She knew that the child she bore was his son. For a time, she kept his birth from her father. Finally, one day, the little boy was born, and his name was Perseus. He was discovered by his grandfather. Acrisius cried in great anger, but he could not kill them outright. He had a chest made, and the two placed in it. Then it was taken out to the sea and cast into the water. They had made land, but they were still in the chest. A fisherman named Dictys, he came upon the great box and took the pitiful cargo home to his wife. They cared for Danae and Perseus as if they were their own. The two lived there many years, but in the end the more trouble came. Polydectes, the ruler of the little island, was the brother of Dictys. He was a cruel and ruthless man. He seems to have taken no notice of the mother and son for a long time. But at last, Danae attracted his attention. He wanted her, but he did not want her son, and he think out of a way of getting rid of him. There were some fearsome monsters called Gorgons. Polydectes evidently talked about to Perseus. He probably told him that he would rather have the head of one of them than anything else in the world. He announced that he was about to be married, and each guest brought a gift, except Perseus alone. He had nothing he could give. He stood up before all of them and declared that he would give him a present better than anybody. He would go off and kill Medusa. Medusa was one of the Gorgons, and there were three Gorgons whom no man shall behold. It seems that Perseus had been led by his anger. No man unaided could kill Medusa. But Perseus was saved from his folly. Two great gods were watching over him. Hermes and Athena came to his help. If he will attack Medusa, he must be first properly equipped. What he needed was in the possession of the nymphs of the north. To find the nymphs' abode, they must go to the Grey Women who alone could tell them the way. All this Hermes told Perseus, and then he unfolded his plan. Once there Perseus must keep hidden until he saw one of them take the eye out, and when none of them could see, he seized the eye out and refused to give it back until they told him how to reach the nymphs of the north. Hermes said he would give him a sword to attack Medusa, with which could not be bent or broken, no matter how hard they were. Pallas Athena stood beside Perseus. She took off the shield of bronze and held it out to him. She said, "You will be able to see her in it, as a mirror to avoid her deadly power." They found the Grey Women at last. Perseus did what Hermes said. They showed him how to find the nymphs of the north. They gave him the full direction at once. Perseus had Hermes with him, so they laid the road open to him. They showed him great kindness, and they gave the gifts that he sought. These were three: a winged sandals, a magic wallet and cap, which made the wearer invisible. With this, and Athena's shield and Hermes' sword, Perseus was ready to fight. Hermes knew where the Gorgons lived. In the mirror of the bright shield, he could see them clearly. Athena was beside him, as well as Hermes. They told him which one was Medusa. Perseus on his winged sandals jumped above them, and then he aimed to stroke down at Medusa's throat, and Athena guided his hand. With a single sweep of his sword, he cut through the neck. He dropped the head into the wallet, but the two other Gorgons tried to pursue the slayer. But Perseus was safe. He had the cap on, and they could not find him. On his way back, Perseus found a lovely maiden. Her name was Andromeda, who strove to set her beauties praised above the sea nymphs, and their power offended. The punishment destined fell not on Queen Cassiopeia, but to her daughter Andromeda. They learned from the oracle that they could be freed if Andromeda were offered to it. They forced Cepheus, her father, to consent. When Perseus arrived, the maiden was on the rock chained by the sea. Perseus saw her and fell in love. He waited beside her until the great snake came, then he cut his head off. Perseus took Andromeda to her parents and asked for her hand. With her, he sailed back into the island, but in the house he found no one. Danae and Dictys had to fly and hide themselves from Benedictus. He learned also that the king was holding a banquet, and all the men who favored him were gathered there. Perseus went straight to the palace and entered the hall. He drew the eyes of every man there. Then before any could look away, he held up the Gorgon's head, and at the sight of all, the cruel king and his men were turned into stone. Perseus fined Danae and Dictys. He made Dictys the king of the island, but he and his mother decided that they would go back with Andromeda to Greece and try to be reconciled with Acrisius. When they reached Argos, they found out that Acrisius had been driven away from the city. Perseus heard that the king of Larissa was holding a great athletic contest, and he journeyed there to take part. In the discus throwing, when his turn came, and he hurled a heavy missile, and fell among the spectators. Acrisius was there on a visit to the king. The discus struck him. The blow was fatal, and he died at once. So Apollo's oracle was again proved. Perseus and Andromeda lived happily ever after. Their son Electron was the grandfather of Hercules, and the Medusa's head was given to Athena, who bore it always upon the aegis in Zeus' shield which she carried for him. And that's the story of Perseus, one of the great heroes before Trojan War. Thank you for listening and have a great day.